If faith-based films only speak to people already sitting in a pew, then why did a movie about homeschooling families fighting government overreach land at the exact moment when the Attorney General of the United States was directing the FBI to investigate parents at school board meetings? Democrats, Republicans, lawyers, military families, all showing up to the same meetings, signing the same petitions, recalling the same board members. The thing that united them wasn't faith. It was the feeling that someone had decided they no longer had a say in their own child's life. And that's exactly what God's Not Dead, We the People focuses on. Welcome to Wholesome TV Picks. I'm your host, Jennifer Avila, and this is the only podcast where every recommendation is backed by 35 plus years of watching wholesome TV. Let's get into today's episode. And really quick before we start, voting is now live for the Women Podcast Awards, and Wholesome TV Picks is nominated in the Entertainment and News category. And I would greatly appreciate it if you went on over to the link in the show notes and vote for Wholesome TV Picks. And if you've already voted, thank you. Picture this. A social services representative comes to observe the homeschool learning day. She then gives a paper to Mrs. McKinley that shows that the homeschool is not adequately teaching the children and sound crazy for teaching the Bible and threatened with fines and jail time if they don't rectify their educational standards to meet public school standards. Reverend Hill, played by David White, is the lead character, leading the fight in Washington, D.C. And the whole movie goes through the importance of taking a stand for your faith, for your children, for what you believe in, and to not let government tell you what to do. There's a touching scene in the movie where the son of the McKinley family even offers his dad his money that he saved to buy his first car. He says, "Here, I can ride my bike a little longer. This will help you if we have to pay fines or anything like that." Mr. McKinley just says he's never been more proud of his son, but he tells his son to keep his money. That's his money. It's moments like that that really show children what it means to put somebody else above yourself. I want to tell you about something I put together. I created a short list of movies and TV shows that you can watch with your family at any time, broken down by category, like heroes for moms and dads, stories for younger audiences, and so on, that you can have instant access to when you join our email list. Head over to wholesometvpicks.com and sign up for our newsletter. Another thing this film does very well is it gets the perspective of freedom from people of different backgrounds in this film. You have characters that came from places with no freedom. There's a man named Martin who explains how homeschooling in China is illegal, and the only way for families to homeschool their children is to go underground, but it's at great risk to those families. I have great admiration for those families that choose to homeschool illegally at risk to themselves. There's a woman named Aisha who converts from Muslim to Christianity, and her father kicks her out of their home, and she's now alone with no family. We see her grappling with that decision throughout the film, and the father trying to reconcile with it as well. The biggest thing that I love about this movie is how it shows not only can a family, the mom and dad, fight for homeschool freedom, but single parents should too. There's a young mom in this movie named Taylor Hayes who is homeschooling her young son. There's a surprise about her situation that explains why she's a single mom. She leaves a very prominent, high-paying job in order to be home for her son because of the trauma that he's going through emotionally, which then affects his academics. And when she finally announces her background, it's a shocker. I would have never guessed it. In one scene, Daryl Smith, who's portrayed by Isaiah Washington, is asking this education expert questions about their curriculum and asks him, "Will parents be able to opt out of your program?" Mr. Willoughby replies, "I would encourage all states to require participation without exception." Daryl Smith says, "What gives them the right?" Mr. Willoughby replies, "Once the state determines what children ought to know, it's imperative that all children know it, because the children belong to all of us." This movie has a good cast, and they all do a great job of bringing this film to life. Janine Perreault, who was a former Fox News contributor on The Five, plays a liberal judge that thinks homeschooling is racist and privileged. And Antonio Sabato Jr. plays the dad, Mr. McKinley. And I'm always taken back to my days at CBS when I see this movie because CBS had a commissary where everybody can eat. When you walked in, the chefs would greet you. Hey, good afternoon. How you doing? What can I get you? You were able to get food cooked to order. You could hear the cash register, people talking, the Price is Right models. I mean, this place was just always bustling with people. Me and the one cashier, her name was Gia, had a little tiny crush on Antonio Sabato Jr. When I would go have lunch, I would make sure to sit at the same end table that was closest to the register. Every time Antonio Sabato Jr. walked in, Gia and I would make eye contact and we would start giggling. We were like two little schoolgirls cracking up. Every time I walked in, Gia and I would ask each other, hey, have you seen Antonio today? And I don't think Antonio ever caught on to this. If he did, he never let it be known. I'm sharing this story with you because Antonio Sabato Jr. actually became blacklisted in Hollywood once he took a stand and showed support for President Trump during the 2016 campaign. So even knowing the risk he was taking, he believed in taking a stand for his faith. There's a line in this movie from a previous God's Not Dead movie. America is a country so blessed that to whom much is given, much will be required. That's something worth noting because we're all busy in our lives. We never have enough time. And the families in this film make the time to fight for what's important to them. You can see it's inconvenient, especially for the single mom who actually ends up losing her job because she already takes so much time off to care for her son. That's a big, heavy lesson to take away because today's society, we're so apathetic. People just don't want to take time and be inconvenienced to fight for things that matter, which you and I know that anything worth having, family, freedom, and so on, is worth fighting for. That's what this movie relays to the audience. Now, as a private homeschool family, I take this to heart, and we're an advocacy family in the state of California. Every year, our family travels to the state capitol with some other homeschool families, and we visit all 120 offices in the state capitol to share the benefits of homeschooling and why we love it the way it is and don't want it to change. Additionally, we take the time to go visit our legislators at their local district offices. Yeah, it takes time out of our day and our schedule, but it's so worth it. We don't want to just give lip service. I believe it's so good to be an example for our children of how we want them to grow as citizens and be as adults. This movie serves as a reminder how precious our freedoms are. On April 25th, 2018, I traveled to Sacramento with a friend so that our voices could be heard at an education committee hearing regarding new legislation that was being proposed to regulate private homeschooling. When we first arrived, there weren't very many people in line. We thought, is this it? This isn't many people. And then she tells me, hopefully there's more people that will show up. As the day progressed, that changed. Over 2,000 homeschoolers had lined up to say, no, they don't support these bills. It ended up being one of the longest education committee hearings any legislator had ever seen. But you know what? All of us came together and we made our voices heard. The reason I share this is so that you understand that you're a role model for your children. If we want to see change, we need to be the change. And the only way to do that is to model it for them so they can see it themselves. Otherwise, who's going to teach them? Never give up, even when it seems like everyone and everything around you is against you. You may be standing up for more people than you realize. We will continue this theme next week because I've got a movie about a boy who had nothing, no family, no home, no reason to trust anyone, and a whale that felt exactly the same way. Yes, a whale. And what happened after the movie was over changed things for a real animal and proved that kids can move mountains when they decide something matters. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Remember, your values matter and your TV should too. Take care.